Riding or racing on back-to-back days can be so rewarding. It's certainly a challenge for just about any cyclist. So if you have just signed up to the event of a lifetime like a Hope Route, or indeed you're about to do your first stage race, then coming up are some very relevant tips on just how you train and prepare for multi-day events. Firstly, we think that as important as getting used to training and racing on back-to-back days is, you shouldn't let it get in the way of trying to be as fit as you possibly can be. It might sound counterintuitive, but actually training to be good at riding on successive days might not actually get you as fit and as fast as you otherwise would be. But the fitter you are, the less taxing your stage race or ride is going to be. So take for example this, which is the Passo Campolungo in Alta Badia. It's exactly the kind of climb that you'd find on an event like the Hope Route. And it is, as you can probably hear, a tough one. But if through training we manage to improve our FTP by 50 watts, it's going to be an awful lot easier and an awful lot less taxing than if we were simply better able to cope with soaking up hard work. So the point is that you shouldn't get overwhelmed and fixated on the challenge of back-to-back days. Your priority should be getting as fit as possible, and then try and add in the following ideas into your training. Now, most of us are probably quite familiar with the idea of training on successive days. When done in a controlled way, it is a fantastic way of getting fit because you put your body under just that little bit more load. And so when training for multi-day events, we can keep using the same principle, but perhaps add in an extra day or two. So if you normally do a 2-day block and then an easier third recovery day, why not build it up to 3 days or 4, maybe even ending up at 5. As long as you get enough recovery afterwards, it should do wonders for you. Although, as we've just been talking about, don't do it too much because you still need to prioritize getting fitter and getting faster. So perhaps a 5-day block every 3 or 4 weeks is what you should be looking at. And then you're definitely going to see the benefits of that extra hard work. Now, another great way of getting really fit, particularly if you're short on time, is to use split days. So that's where you train in the morning and then in the afternoon or the evening. And the idea is that you get to stress your body loads more and therefore get more stimulating training effects than if you were just to do 1 ride a day. And if you're preparing for an event with 4 to 5 hour days back to back, you don't need to worry because split days will still do the job. They will very quickly get you used to riding with a sensation of fatigue in your legs, which is very important for stage races. And then they'll also mentally toughen you up. I certainly have always found them really demanding from that respect. All you've got to do is make sure that you plan correctly so that choose sessions in a day that complement each other. So perhaps you do sub-threshold work in the morning, like sweet spot intervals, and then save your harder intervals for the evening. This next one is a great little tip and is in fact straight out of the book of Matt Stevens' training hacks. So we're probably all conditioned to the idea of having 1 or 2 easy days after a race or a big sportive. I certainly am. In fact, even now, Monday is a day of rest for me from a cycling perspective for no reason other than habit. However, training the day after an event is a fantastic way of getting your body used to coping with that fatigue that you get, and then also trying to condition yourself to recovering faster as well. So why not get even more bang for your buck, in fact, by riding the day before the event as well. So you could ride Saturday, do your event Sunday, and then Monday you could do a split day either side of a day's work. Now admittedly, there probably won't be much use in the office that day, so you can apologise to your boss from us and just explain that you will unfortunately be needing to make some sacrifices. With a focus on training really hard and getting more tired, we're also going to need to keep a really close eye on our fatigue levels, because although we want to dig really deep for specific blocks, we also want to make sure that we're fully recovered before starting the next one. So as well as asking yourself some searching questions every day about how you're feeling, you also want to make the most of the technology available to you. So if you've got a power meter, you use that in conjunction with a heart rate monitor, or you simply just invest in a heart rate monitor. And then the main secret to recovery is simply to get adequate rest. But then in addition to that, you also need to bear in mind your nutrition, because the harder you train, the more important that becomes. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, don't worry, because as daunting as your first stage race or ride might be, you will get through it. I remember being super nervous before mine, but the thrill of the event masked any pain in my legs, and I did indeed survive it okay. Because as great as a multi-day event challenge is, the most important thing to bring with you is a positive attitude. Now, one man who is facing his first multi-day event this summer is John Chocolate Voice Bevan, who is indeed doing a Hope route. And if you want to keep a track of his progress, first you need to make sure you subscribe to GCN. To do that, just click on the globe. And then if you want to see John's intro video, that is just there. Or to see the latest GCN show where John gives us an update, click just over there.